Hey folks, good morning. Happy Monday, May 14th. It is the Cam Rogers Show. I am Cam Rogers. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Fun program on tap for you. Got you covered for the next hour with a lot of NFL talk. As always, we kick things off with my top story this morning and the latest NFL headlines, as well as my top quarterbacks entering 2018. More specifically, the top 10 quarterbacks. Will Tom Brady be at number 1? I kind of teased it on my professional page on Facebook to see if you guys would buy into maybe me being insane enough to not put Tom Brady at 1. Stay tuned. And then Tom Downey will join me with the top 5 most likely first-round busts here, because top 5 potential busts, I mean, they could all be busts potentially, but Tom has his top 5 most likely candidates there. And then to wrap up the show, I'll look ahead to the U.S. Open here as Tiger Woods performed very well yesterday at the Players' Championship, finishing T11. I'll give you the breakdown on what to expect from Woods coming up as we enter this summer across this wraparound PGA Tour season. All right, let's get to the latest NFL headlines. Today's top story: legendary coach Chuck Knox has passed away at age 86. The only coach ever to win the AP Coach of the Year award with 3 different franchises. He was known as a turnaround coach with his old school approach here. Knox won at least 10 games in all 5 of his seasons with the Rams. And then with the Seahawks, he reached the AFC Championship game in his first season. So really storied career there for Knox. We wish his family all the best here as they go through this process of grieving. But one of the greats moving on. So Chuck Knox passing away at the age of 86. All right, let's get to some more headlines here. We'll start things off with the Matt Patricia situation. And as I do want to give a shout out to one of the loyal watchers here on the Cam Rogers Show. Tyler Davis is back. Tyler, all I have to ask is, where the heck have you been, my man? I see you have a new profile picture too. Good stuff there. All right, so what's the deal here? Golden Tate, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, speaking to the Detroit Free Press, called the Patricia situation, quote, a bunch of bull crap, and said Lions players support Patricia to the max. So obviously we're dealing with accusations of a 1996 sexual assault incident that has resurfaced recently in regards to Patricia. Actually, just last week it resurfaced, and Tate also said that the situation will blow over eventually. Now, my assumption is it won't until this gets resolved. Like, we're talking about some serious allegations here. Just assuming that it's going to blow over because the case was dismissed is, I think, is a little crazy. So there's clearly something here in terms of motivation to resurface this story. And I don't know what that motivation is, whether this person has something against Patricia, whether this actually happened. I don't know. I wasn't there, neither were you, so there's this whole kind of cloudiness to this whole deal here. So whoever leaked this to the Detroit Free Press, I feel wasn't looking for just one bad week of poor PR for Matt Patricia. I think there's a little bit more to this story here. So Tate said Patricia spoke with the team but didn't offer too many specifics on the matter. And this is just me, but if you're in a press conference and you're looking to clear your name, then wouldn't you want to provide specifics on the matter, right? Instead of just saying in a blanket statement, no, this is false. I was accused of some fictional story here, and, that's that. Like, I know there's been some YouTube commenters coming at me, like, appalled that I am expecting specifics, but wouldn't you want to offer as much information as possible to prove or at least convince people that this story is made up, that there's no there, if you will? So it's just slightly odd for Patricia to channel his inner Belichick, to be honest with you, and not really say much on the matter. It just doesn't look good if you don't offer some sort of specific details on why you are innocent or why this story was made up. Maybe you say you weren't even on the spring break trip. Maybe you say you were in a different hotel and you have the records to prove it. Just anything other than, no, this is made up. No, this is just false. Like, it just doesn't look good. And, I have no law degree or anything like that, but I feel like, just in terms of a PR standpoint, it would certainly convince people in a more positive fashion for Patricia if he were to provide some sort of specific details, documentation, whatever the case may be. Now, like I said, the assumption that charges were dropped and thus Patricia has to be innocent is just not correct, by the way. Just because this victim in this situation decided not to testify does not mean that this whole fiasco here was made up. Now, it also doesn't mean that it actually happened. I'm just saying that because charges were dropped does not mean Patricia is out of hot water just yet. All right, here on the Cam Rogers Show, we do appreciate when you guys chime in here. And we've got David, 1996. Is it a little old? How the heck is it only getting attention now? So, David, that goes back to one of my points earlier about there's some sort of motivation for bringing it out now, whether it's you just whoever the leaker was wanted to just bring it up because Patricia's now a head coach and they want to get revenge on him or whatever, or somebody just simply made it up. I don't know. None of us know. And yes, the fact that this was so long ago makes the situation somewhat odd, but Matt Patricia has never been a head coach in the National Football League. He is now, and I don't foresee him being in the front office anytime soon in the NFL, so this might be the highest position he ever reaches in this league, and perhaps now is the time to bring this up. Now, the Lions organization has stood pat. They've been supportive of Patricia throughout this process here. And look, it's a muddy situation. Most of these instances are the he said, she said deals. And I am not asserting any position whatsoever. But I will say this, with Golden Tate just brushing it off, saying that this will blow over, I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think this might stick for quite some time here, and the NFL is doing its own investigation right now. So I don't know what the next steps are going to be in terms of this, whether the victim wants to take this to a public court of opinion here and wants to testify because, you know, like I mentioned, in 1996, she did not want to testify, and that's why the charges were dropped. So, yeah, it's quite a situation here, and a lot of people have their fair share of thoughts on it. I know a lot of Lions fans out there are like, 1996, there's something fishy here. We're going to stand by our head coach. Other Lions fans out there are a little curious about the matter. So it's very much up in the air in terms of what's to come here with Matt Patricia, but I will tell you this. It ain't a good start as a head coach in the National Football League for Mr. Patricia. Now, the New England Patriots, by the way, have released a statement on this matter. They have said that when they went through the interview process, this never came up for them. They never found it. Nothing ever surfaced in that regard. Now, I will say that kind of stuff, like an indictment, is public record. You can find that pretty easily. So the fact that the Patriots did not find this out is a little thinking face for me. So there you go. That's the deal with Matt Patricia. We'll see what happens going forward there. But the locker room stands behind their new head coach. All right, let's go to the next headline here. The Broncos have reportedly called up DeMarcus Ware, not to play, folks, but to coach on a part-time basis. So the man who tore up opposing offensive linemen for 12 years as he racked up 138.5 sacks could soon be a part of OTAs and training camp for the Denver Broncos. And the Broncos want to utilize Ware in the development of their young defenders here, more specifically Mr. Bradley Chubb, who the Broncos selected at number 5 overall. There's also been some speculation, unproven or anything like that, that Ware may have a similar role with the Dallas Cowboys. Again, not confirmed there. So Ware wrapped up his career with the Denver Broncos for the last 3 years, so perhaps going back to his old stomping grounds to help out that defense a little bit could go a long way. DeMarcus Ware was one of the best edge rushers out there, and especially during his peak, and went out with a really fine career playing for 12 years there. So looks like he could be a part of the offseason workouts for the Denver Broncos franchise. And I'll tell you one thing, if Bradley Chubb can learn a thing or two from DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller, who's currently on the team, that spells good news. Now, Von Miller, you may recall before the draft, said of Bradley Chubb that he's a combination of himself, Miller, and Khalil Mack. So then you bring in DeMarcus Ware into the fray. There is a very high ceiling for Bradley Chubb to make some big-time headlines as he enters the NFL. All right, let's get to the next headline here, talking about the Patriots. Looks like they're out on signing Johnny Manziel. So the drafting of LSU quarterback Danny Etling essentially cancels any possibility of that according to Mike Reese of ESPN reporting this. The Patriots attended that San Diego Pro Day where Manziel was present, so there was some buzz that maybe New England would look into bringing Johnny Manziel onto that Patriots depth chart, but you got Brian Hoyer, you got Danny Etling, and of course Tom Brady is there as well. Now, Johnny recently told TMZ not too long ago that he joined the Patriots in a heartbeat. I guess the Patriots haven't come calling anytime soon because Manziel currently isn't on the team. I don't expect him to head to New England, but who knows? There were some rumors that the Patriots wanted to trade up for Baker Mayfield, and Mayfield drew a lot of Johnny Manziel comparisons, so maybe Johnny Manziel could be the consolation prize to not trading up and getting Baker Mayfield, right? Maybe? I don't know. So we'll see. Plus, I don't think the Patriots want the media attention around bringing Johnny Manziel to New England. I just don't think they want that at this juncture, especially coming off an offseason where there were reports about Kraft and Belichick and Brady and this trifecta not getting along very well, and then the reports about perhaps a Rob Gronkowski trade and Gronk, not getting along well with Bill Belichick. You guys have heard me rant many a times on this program about how maybe Bill Belichick was getting ready to cut ties with Rob Gronkowski due to the antics that Gronk was going through throughout the offseason, and Bill Belichick being the petty micromanager that he is as an NFL head coach. One of the greatest of all time, but still can be petty. So you guys have heard me talk about that. Now, in terms of Johnny Manziel, will he complete the NFL comeback? Give me a heart for yes, a like for no. There are a few notable names out there that are trying to complete this NFL comeback. Johnny Manziel, probably the most prominent, alongside one Colin Kaepernick, who I will get to later in the show. Got a little update for you guys on Cap as he tries to make his NFL comeback a reality. So hit me up in the comments section as well, talking about Johnny Manziel and the NFL comeback there. All right, let's get to the next headline on my list. Jalen Ramsey calling out Josh Allen, the first-round selection there for the Buffalo Bills. So Ramsey took to Twitter, eventually deleted a negative comment regarding the Buffalo Bills rookie quarterback Allen from Friday. So it was a Buffalo Bills video posted on their Twitter account, Jalen Ramsey saying that's a pick waiting to happen. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure resident draft analyst here at Chat Sports, Tom Downey, just finds the hilarity to 100% in that one. Yeah, Ramsey eventually deleted the tweet, as I said. Of course, the Bills traded up to get Allen at number 7 overall. His accuracy at Wyoming was a big concern. He completed just 56.3 of his passes for a shade over 1,800 yards and 16 touchdowns in 11 games last year. And you go throughout his high school tenure and everything, accuracy was a big-time problem. Now, here's the fun subplot here, folks. All right, the Bills host the Jags in Week 12. So, hey, maybe Allen is the quarterback by then and perhaps can get some revenge on Jalen Ramsey. My bet is Jalen gets a couple interceptions in the more likely scenario than, say, Josh Allen throws a couple touchdowns against Jalen Ramsey there. So there you go. Ramsey calls out Josh Allen on Twitter. And actually, by the way, his follow-up tweet was, he's got to chill. So come on, Jalen, you don't have to chill. That's fine. That's good gamesmanship. We like to see that. Some smack talk there in the month of May. So there you go. That's the latest regarding Jalen Ramsey and Josh Allen going at it. How about Sean Payton and Adrian Peterson? They notoriously went at it in Week 1. Of course, Payton denies that. AD denies that as well. So the story here, Sean Payton not ruling out a return for Adrian. Peterson is working out and seems to be in good shape. I've been watching some videos. There's a recent video that surfaced of him on a treadmill, so it's not out of the realm of possibility here that maybe the Saints go ahead and bring in Adrian Peterson here. So we'll see what happens going forward, but Alvin Kamara, the top running back as we stand right now, and Mark Ingram is suspended for the first 4 games of the NFL season. So that's what's kind of resurfacing this Adrian Peterson rumor here. So Peterson did play a little bit for the Saints a year ago, as I mentioned, and was eventually traded to the Cardinals, where he actually played a lot better, totaling 448 yards, rushing and 2 touchdowns on 129 carries before a neck injury landed him on injured reserve to close out this season. I think it makes sense for the Saints to at least bring in Adrian Peterson for some sort of workout or what have you. The Saints also have Boston Scott, Jonathan Williams, among others, backing up Alvin Kamara there. So there you go. Adrian Peterson could be back on the New Orleans Saints, something to keep in mind there. All right, let's go to the next headline here. Steve Wilks is asserting that Sam Bradford is the starter. So the Cardinals have Bradford, Mike Glennon, and they have, of course, rookie Josh Rosen. So amid all the Josh Rosen hype, Wilks is standing by his quarterback there in regards to being the starter. So key phrase here is that he's the starter for week 1. Wilks hasn't ruled out Josh Rosen, perhaps eventually supplanting Sam Bradford there as the quarterback. And, of course, why would he not rule that out? But Wilks has said before that Bradford is one of the best in the business. And I think he is too, when healthy. And that's the big-time footnote with Bradford. Over the past 10 years, 20 of 27 first-round quarterbacks have started at least 8 games in the rookie season. So Bradford's going to have to fend off that trend. Alex Smith was the exception last year, you guys may recall, of course, holding off Patrick Mahomes en route to a borderline MVP campaign for part of the 2017 season. So the reality for Bradford is he's got to fight off the demons of being hurt. And he has played a 16-game season just twice in his career here. So you have to go back to 2012 for the last time it happened for Sam Bradford, playing 16 games. Who should be the starter for the Arizona Cardinals in Week 1 of 2018? Hit me up in the comment section here on the Cam Rogers Show. I've got my broadcast on my laptop. My guy, Marcus Williams, chiming in with a good show. Cam, Marcus, thank you for watching, my man. Hope you're doing all right on the West Coast there, making some breakfast as you watch the program. Hit me up in comments here on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. All right, next headline here. The Colts are confident in their quarterback, Andrew Luck, to be a full go for training camp. So after speaking with team sources, NFL Network's Charlie Casserly reported the Colts are very confident Luck will be ready for training camp in late July. Obviously, they've played this really conservatively, and rightfully so. I mean, Andrew Luck, of course, missed all of 2017 due to shoulder injuries, and Luck is not expected to practice during OTAs, a mandatory minicamp, that we know. And how about this? If Luck can get back to the form that he was at prior to the injury, the AFC South is going to be really fun to watch. And I'll tell you one thing, Luck can win the Colts some games single-handedly. And we could see some big-time competition in that division, so much so that we could see 3 teams make the playoffs out of that division. Honestly. We saw it happen in the NFC South a year ago. It could happen in the AFC South this year. I could see the Titans winning the division. I could see the Houston Texans finishing second. I could see the Colts making a run at things. I could see the Jaguars, winning the division there. So it's going to be a hotly contested division. I'll tell you one thing. Andrew Luck, if he is back and better than ever, could drastically change the landscape of the AFC. Now, the rest of the team around him is a little not talented, to say the least, so he's going to have to fight off some of that adversity there, but we'll see what happens with Andrew Luck and how he bounces back from the shoulder injuries. Matthew Chambers of the SB Nation's Falcons website is calling for the team to sign Kaepernick as a backup, and the logic is pretty simple, folks. Matt Ryan's current backup is Matt Schaub, who just isn't good at all, and we know that. He was Mr. Pick Six a few years ago. And God forbid anything happens to Matt Ryan here, who, by the way, has been the ultimate Iron Man in the NFL. You really want to trot out Matt Schaub there to be the backup and to supplant Matt Ryan if he does indeed get hurt. So local writer here in Atlanta wants the Falcons to at least look into Colin Kaepernick here. And what makes matters difficult is Kaepernick has this whole ongoing grievance case against the NFL, but as I've said on this show before, my theory is that maybe Kaepernick wants to put a little pressure on the NFL owners. Maybe the NFL owners eventually get sick and tired of paying the legal fees with all these depositions that have gone about, and eventually one of them just caves and says, okay, let's bring this guy in, let's see what he can do, and there would be no more collusion case. At least that would be the thinking there. So Colin Kaepernick, of course, is still looking for an NFL opportunity here. He's still trying to make the comeback a reality. We do have a weigh-in. Do you think Colin Kaepernick will be on an NFL roster this season? Hit me up in the comments section. Open up that crystal ball, if you will. Let me know what you foresee about Colin Kaepernick in 2018. Eric Reid also has a collusion case against the NFL as well. Both those players are currently unemployed. And Colin Kaepernick did not play at all in 2017. Eric Reid, of course, played last year, but he was one of the first to kneel alongside Colin Kaepernick, and apparently that got brought up with the Cincinnati Bengals organization, who he was visiting with not too long ago there. So at least Atlanta media, or one media member, wants Colin Kaepernick to be on the Falcons roster. The Falcons have a really balanced roster, but I guess the one weakness would be backup quarterback, right? Because Matt Schaub just, I think, is a low floor backup quarterback at this point in his career there. So let me know what you think about Colin Kaepernick. All right, let's get to the next headline here. If you missed it on the Friday news dump, the Falcons have signed Terrell McClain after visits with the Cowboys, Redskins, and the Dolphins as well. So the Falcons continue to bolster that already well-balanced roster there. McClain, 6'2", 302 pounds, provides depth and experience on that front line, specifically behind Grady Jarrett, who had a really good 2017 season. McClain previously signed a 4-year, $21 million contract with the Redskins, you may recall, last year, but Washington eventually released him on April 30th. Now, on his career, McClain has appeared in 74 games, 29 starts, and totaled 110 tackles, 75 of those solo, with 6.5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. The Falcons now have Terrell McClain as depth. They have Grady Jarrett, who I like a lot, and Adrian, who they got via the draft as well. So a big-time question mark for Atlanta was the interior of that defensive line, right? With Dontari Poe moving on out, the question was, how are they going to fill that void there at defensive tackle? And, you know, I think they're doing a pretty darn good job at that. They got a pretty good amount of depth there on that front seven. Atlanta's going to be a good team. And I'll tell you what, I'll talk about Matt Ryan later when I go through my top 10 quarterbacks entering 2018.